Hello, everybody. It is 4:01 p.m. Central Time on the 20th of June, 2017. It is Tuesday, going into Wednesday overseas. So, guys, we're already almost halfway through the week already. Can you believe it? It seems like the weekend just ended. I hope you guys are doing good. Starting out with about 350 people in the combined rooms between YouTube and Twitch and my website, watching on Facebook. So it's good to see everybody in here. And of course, we're here to talk about the seismic activity. We do this on a daily basis and a weekly basis. We show the earthquakes and we also issue new warnings for areas to watch for activity to develop. So take a look at the screen. If you guys tuned in yesterday, then you were already aware that yesterday the West Pacific had gone silent. And there were only just a few earthquakes to report yesterday. And take a look at the screen today. It's pretty obvious we've returned in earnest, going back up immediately into multiple 5.0 earthquakes. The number of the day was 5. 5.1, 5.0, 5.0, 5.0. And all of these locations hit directly next to our volcanoes. So we get down here next to Sinabung, 5.1, next to Dukono, 5.0, going to the north next to Sakurajima, 5.0, and then we get down into our 4s on either side of perimeter of that. Down in New Zealand, it kind of went quiet. Rebecca was talking about this. 15 earthquakes in the last 8 or 12 hours. That's low. This is way low. And we're expecting that to go up. So do not let your guard down in New Zealand either. Just like yesterday here in the West Pacific, whenever you see it kind of starting to get quiet and you're in the middle of a deep earthquake event like what we have going on, it just means you're just a day or two away from an increase. So you get maybe a day, a half off maybe, and then you get back into it. So that's what we're going to look for down in New Zealand. I don't have much to report to you right now out of there. But also over to the west, just as I was getting ready to get on, a 4.4 right in the middle of all this. So it's pretty obvious the middle point here, in between all of our deep earthquakes that we were talking about, that's the spot that's moving. Middle to north, middle to south, middle to west. All across the West Pacific. Like I said, Indonesia, Philippines, up in Japan. Now, as we go over to the west, guys, we get into Europe and take a look at this. Macedonia was hit at the Bosnia border. So we were talking about watching for at least mid-range 4, and exactly at mid-range 4 came in at Macedonia. So if you go look it up, it will show up in Macedonia with a 3.7 as well. So if you were keeping track of areas that we were naming, we named Macedonia as a spot to watch for new movement, and it's going to get bigger. I believe we're going to be at least going up at least one more magnitude in the next several days. So the swarm over at Turkey, soon as that actually stopped for a few hours, then Macedonia was hit, then we returned to the swarm in Turkey again. And over the last day and a half, back over to the east, I told you guys, we had the 4s, and then we had yesterday's 5.1 downgraded to 4.6. That's all going to be pushing in and accumulating in the next day. So here we are on day 1 of the new warning, and the location we were looking for got hit in Macedonia. That's on top of yesterday's 4 that hit in Italy right where we were warning. So just be aware that's happening. Then we get down here to the South Atlantic, and right on our letter X, right next to it, but I would call that right on, a mid-range 5 and a 5.2. So you go 5.4 and 5.2, that's about a 5.6. That fulfills the forecast from this past week when we had the 5.8 striking here. So the 5.8 then caused a 5.6 down at the South Sandwich Islands. You may remember me issuing the warning for the place north of Antarctica. I said it wouldn't matter to anybody except to me and anybody else who's keeping track for forecasting purposes that the pressure transferred just as expected, down around and underneath, and came back up at our letter X. Central America, look at this, guys. Cuba hit mid-range 4. Could go a little larger, could go up to 5.0. Now, where did that 5 come from? How about the lack of eruptions yesterday, allowing for pressure to transfer out of the area finally? And we talked about the lack of eruptions at Popo and Fuego and Turrialba in Costa Rica. Lack of eruptions, and then suddenly earthquakes press over to the east and strike. I'm not shocked by that. That's what normally happens. And look where it struck. This is a spot we were talking about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, We said that once the volcano stopped erupting, it would then push to the east. It took a week and a half for that to happen, guys. Now that gets me into the United States. Take a look here, guys. Look what's going on in the U.S. We have moderate activity in the Midwest. And look, what do we have? The East Coast finally gets hit. We're looking at the Kentucky-Virginia border, and we're looking at the South Carolina-Georgia border. Now, where did a 3.2 come from? And a 2.6? Well, we have to go back a few days. How about the 3s? And so, well, actually, there's even more, maybe even 4s, near 4s, that struck in the Midwest. It was 3.8, actually, where they topped out. So 3.8 in the Midwest pushed over to the east. I'd like to go look up these locations just to see if there's anything there. I did not look it up earlier, so this is a first-time lookup for me, and I don't, again, do this all the time. So usually I'm, pretty well versed on what's at each location. This is a new spot. This is a spot we haven't seen get hit any time that I've been watching over the last 7 years. So what's here? It's at Augusta, Georgia. And we are right in a downtown area. It looks like a suburban area. A place called Lombard Pond. Well, what do we have right next to here? So we got some water. It doesn't look like we've got anything of any significance nearby. Let's back it out and just take a look overall and see if there's anything there. What's this? What is all this? Is this a nuclear plant? What do we got going on here? I don't know what this is. Savannah River plant. Well, again, it's a large area that's cleared out here that doesn't have any people, no subdivisions or anything. Whenever you see something like this, you start to wonder, maybe there's some kind of, what is this? What is this? I wonder if we have a Google Earth placemark for these. What is this? Obviously, it's energy generation of some kind, but I don't have any descriptives. Three Rivers solid waste? I don't know. It's waste treatment. This whole area waste treatment? Savannah River plant. All right. Well, it's close enough that you got to wonder, is it related to something over here? I don't know. It's right next to an airport. You got Lockheed right there. Interesting. Okay. So anyways, I like to look them up. I always look them up. You have to go check and see if there's anything interesting nearby. In this case, we've got some kind of energy generation plants right next to it. Well, it's on the edge of the craton. Is it related to the energy generation plant? I don't know. The last large earthquake that we had in Virginia, the 5.9, struck right next to the nuclear power plant. That was weird, wasn't it? Now we've got another noteworthy earthquake on the East Coast striking next to another power plant. I don't know if there's any connection. It's just something that's very strange to me. Now let's go look up the other one. Let's go look up the 2.6 really quick. See what's there. 4.6 kilometer depth. This is more like on the edge of the craton. We would expect to see these here. So we normally would expect to see earthquakes going up the East Coast, not this far east-southeast down into Georgia. So again, I'm curious as to what's going on there. Now what is here? Doesn't look like we have very much out here. Again, we've got some houses. We are in in Kentucky. But look what is just down to the south. In the same county, we've got frack wells. Look at this. Hold on. Let's see if it'll give us a clearer resolution here. Oh yeah, got some tanks on top of the hill there. So we got an old frack operation in the county. Now it makes you wonder, is there any other old pumping operations here? Kentucky, not exactly known for its pumping. You get right across the border, though, and you get to where our 4.3 struck. That was the mine collapse. This earthquake struck right here. The USGS moved it, changed it from a 4.3 to the 3.4, and tried to blame it on a mine collapse, when in reality, there's no mine at the location. There's oil pumping. So we'll wait for that to see that? See the shadow on this? Okay, we've got these oil wells all over the place here. And they tried to say it was, again, that it was some kind of mine collapse. It's just asinine what those excuses are. So that's all that struck today. So over on the East Coast, then the Midwest, we get back to our fracking operations that I've shown so many times, and one minor earthquake here on the West Coast. So, does this mean that we're all good and we're all quiet? Everything's gone quiet? No, guys. We just had that mid-range 4 strike yesterday. It could even have been as high as a 5, but they went with a mid-range 4 on Vancouver Island. That's going to push over the next couple days, next 48 to 72 hours, starting last night. It's going to push back to the east-southeast, which means Yellowstone's going to be getting hit again. It means that California is going to be getting hit again, down in Southern California. It means a new swarm in the Midwest over the next couple days. Again, take a look at it. Look what happened today. 2 earthquakes? In the next 48 to 72 hours, this is going to flare back up. There'll be way more than 2. The frequency, the number of earthquakes that we're talking about, and the magnitudes are both going to increase. Magnitude should go up by a whole notch, should go up into the upper 3s to near 4, and the swarm should be numbering at least in multiple earthquakes, less than a dozen, but more than 2. Okay, so watch for that. Now, let's go into the West Coast and the slow slip. We said we were going to be checking today to see if the slow slip had fully died out. Yesterday, there was 1 to 2 earthquakes on the list. I'd say there was just 1 tremor on the list from yesterday. So we're looking at the earthquakes first, and you'll see Yellowstone has gone down, 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 down. It was at 4s, 3s, and 2s, and then it went from 3s, 2s, and 1s to 2s, 1s, and 0s, and that's where we are now. But that's going to increase due to the new mid-range 4 up here to the northwest. Looking at California, we talked about this too, that the locations that just had a few earthquakes were going to start piling up. That started already at Central California, but it's just day 1 of the increase. Now let's go over and consult the slow slip tremor map. Here we are, so look at this. Real-time tremor map provided by the University of Washington. And yesterday, there were 2. Today, you can see clearly there's a dramatic increase today. So what caused an increase? I would have to say that the mid-range 4 to 5.0 earthquake that struck on Vancouver Island has now pushed onto the interior zone on land, exciting things all the way from around Washington down to Northern California. And look at the cluster right here. You see the cluster? Let's just go ahead and get our coordinates for this and just go look it up. So let's put the coordinates in here on Google Earth. If you ever see anything that stands out as odd, or you see a stack of earthquakes somewhere, I recommend you actually take the time to look them up. You usually will find a reason for why the swarm is striking in any particular spot that it's being struck. Well, here we are. We're at Yreka again. Yreka. Well, we're back to Yreka, but what's there? We are right on the flanks of Mount Shasta, right here. And last night, in the ironic twist of fate, I did a package opening, and one of my viewers who lives up here at Grants Pass sent me a care package of stuff from this town. And we talked about it last night. It was hilarious. So now here we are, and look where the swarm returned, guys, right next to the town that we just got the care package from last night, here at Yreka. Now, they don't call that Eureka. You think that would be Eureka, but it's apparently Yreka, according to people that live there. It's on the flanks of Mount Shasta, and that most certainly is the cause of the earthquake. The magma chamber down below is also residing on the tip of the area. Get back over to the slow slip map. See this? This is the slow slip happening here next to the volcano, guys. So it's not the volcano that's causing this in itself, but the volcano is there, I believe, because if you look just due west of this, out of the shores, here, let's do that. Let's go due west. Where does that take us? It takes us into the north part of the North Gorda segment, or the North Gorda Ridge, here. So the North Gorda Ridge is under serious pressure right now after a mid-range 4 to 5 struck up to the north. In between these points, we have tremors lighting back up all of a sudden after yesterday going quiet. So it's pushing down, it's dead ending into Shasta, which then is allowing for the slow slip, the plate movement, to go right by the volcano there. And that's interesting to me, to see the volcano light up. I'm wondering, are the other locations to the north also volcanoes that I just, haven't made note of? Well, let's just go see. Let's go see. Let's quickly go check. Up in northern Oregon, what do we have going on here? Molalla, Oregon. Now, this is south of Portland. I don't know of any volcanoes that close, but, I don't know. Let's just go look. Why not? Class is in session. We can take the time to go look it up, see if there's anything worthy of noting nearby. Oh, well, there sure is. Within the county, we have Mount Hood. Just to the east-northeast. How far? 40 miles. 38 miles. I always look within 40 miles. This is right on at 39 miles. A 40 mile is the kind of an artificial number I've set just to be related that there's that much distance that can be affected by, look at this one, also 40 miles. Look, 40 miles down to Mount Jefferson, and the other one, 40 miles up to Mount Hood. It's exactly in between both. All right, well, that's definitely also related. So the small earthquakes that are striking here are related to some of the volcanoes that are nearby. And we look up here, let's get this. Well, now, look, the other earthquake, look, they have it listed as an explosion at Mount Hood. An explosion at Mount Hood. Okay. All right. We're not going to say any, we're not going to chastise them. We're just going to leave them alone. All right. So the two earthquakes that are reported in Oregon are, I would say, definitely related, or at least very close to enough to the volcanoes to be at least something to consider. Then you look over at Yellowstone, it's moving. We get down into California, and we can go look these spots up if you guys want, or I can just tell you what's at each location. Mammoth Mountain and Aurora Crater, Aurora Peak, on both sides of the California-Nevada border right there. Both starting to swarm, but that's going to increase. This should be enough earthquakes that they barely fit on the screen by tomorrow, so within the next day. We should also see near 4.0 activity or 4.0 striking in Southern California, not just anywhere east-southeast of Los Angeles or east of San Diego, going over towards Salton Sea, volcanic buttes. So right around in this area, 4 is going to be striking as a result of the 4 up here from yesterday. So it's going to be busy. And with the slow slip's carrying on now. So now that we know the slow slip is carrying on, and it started, another thing I'd like to point out too, that it stopped up here. So the last spot that we saw register of the slow slip was up here with a few dozen earthquakes or a few dozen tremors. Now today, look what happened. Pops up back down here to the south with a spattering up to the north and a cluster to the south. So our pattern of north, south, central is carrying on, and this is time number 6 that this has happened. So we're going down to south now, which means in the next day to 2 days, we should see central swarm up and then back to the north again. And every time that this has gone silent, it has been met with a corresponding larger earthquake off the coast or very close to the coast within a few days' time. Each time it's topped out near 5. So every time it's stopped, it's caused a new 5 or near 5 in the upper 4 range to strike. And that's held true again yesterday. And I think each time that these 4s and 5s are striking, it's not relieving the pressure, it is adding to the overall event that's going to strike. Now, what size? I'm going to have to say again one more time. I hate to keep telling you this, but it's above 7.7 and below the Japan megaquake. So we're talking about a big earthquake that's potential off this slow slip event. And the professionals said it stopped. They said the slow slip stopped back in April. Well, if it stopped fully back in April, why is the zone moving now? Why are we seeing clusters? Now, I know it's not 800 or 1,000 events, not like the kind that would draw the attention of the mainstream media, but if the slow slip stopped, what are the clusters? The clusters, obviously, are part of the slow slip. It just means that the professionals got it wrong when they said that the slow slip stopped up here. They said in April, well, it stopped in the Olympic Peninsula, it's over. And we know it didn't because it went up here and caused hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes up in Vancouver Island, and then it transferred down to California and caused hundreds. And then it went back to Oregon and caused hundreds. Then it came back to the north and caused dozens. And then we went down to dozens and dozens and dozens. Then we went down to just a few, and now we're back again at dozens and dozens. Does that mean it's going to go back up and again into hundreds? I don't know. I don't forecast slow slips. All I'm doing is telling you that this is what's happening and what I'm looking for as a result of what's happened. And as a result of what's happened, 650 miles across 3 states and another part of Canada here, so another country, okay, 2 countries and 3 states moving over the last 14 to 15 weeks. And we're already starting to go 15 to 16 weeks, so we're getting over into the threshold of going even further. And that means, again, we're looking at 3 to 4 months of a slow slip happening, and that means that the potential for a large earthquake does exist that we have to tell you about. Now, we hope for less, but you plan for more. Okay, and again, the more is, well, if there's going to be more, then it would lead to something like a small tsunami if it was above that 7.7 to 8.0 threshold. If it gets into the mid 8, then I'm tremendously sorry. And if I'm 1 magnitude off on this, it would be going into, a mega quake status. So I hope I've got it right, or that it's less than what I'm looking for. Okay, and if it doesn't strike, so we're going to wait and wait and wait until the slow slip stops for a few days. Once it stops for a few days, we can then say it's over. But I'm not going to do what the professionals did, which is to say it's over prematurely and then have egg on your face and try and constantly cover for, and say that, oh, it did stop. No, it didn't. I mean, look, what are we talking about every day? What am I showing you? Those are small tremors that are happening in the same zones that are considered slow slip locations. Now, let's get into the other earthquakes that struck around the plate, because that's not all that happened today, guys. I mean, we're just talking about, the most recent events. But we also need to talk about things like the North Pole. Look, a 5.0 striking at the North Pole. Iceland hit. Why was the North Pole hit by a 5.0 earthquake in the Arctic Circle on the Gackel Ridge? Anybody know? We have to go back a few days. Go back a few days, and then you saw the other 5.0 earthquake that struck south of Iceland. Where did it come from? It came from the 6.0 activity that struck down here in Europe. It's fully transferred underneath and across. It didn't even cause larger earthquakes. It literally transferred up and across. That's where these came from. So when we see these arrows and you see which way the arrows point and it's coming out of Europe and we don't see earthquakes in between, it either means they didn't report them to us or they did not occur. Those are the options. And I lead towards the second option. I mean, not reporting them to us means some kind of conspiracy. And we know that could never happen. People never do things behind the scenes shadily to try to cover themselves, do they? I've never heard of that, especially not in science. Okay, so those other locations that are being hit, they are a result of pressure transferring, and it's about to all happen again. We are in our deep earthquake event. It is just no doubt about it. They're raised high off the globe, and look at the clusters of earthquakes spreading out from our deep events. Let's just look at the 5s and greater. It's so obvious which way and how lopsided this is right now, and it's very obvious the spots that should be filled in with larger movement. Japan is one of them. Up here in Alaska is another. Coast of the United States, North America, that's one. I mean, it's so obvious. We don't have any 5s there. Take it down to 4s, and then you'll start to see, well, we did get 4.0 activity, and look how it struck. It struck across the edge of the plate, going all the way down to, let's say, southern Colorado with that 3.9. Take it down another step to 3s, and then you'll see it really did go across the United States, but by the time it gets to us, the pressure goes all the way across, up and around, and hits North America here, and then pushes the plate further. And I would say these are all related. There is no doubt about it, they're related, and it's going to happen again. Now the question is, how big is it going to be, not just in the U.S., but elsewhere? And the deep earthquakes let us know. We're looking at big events coming. Today is the 20th. So really today, right now, going into tomorrow, is the longest day of the year. The planet has tilted fully to the full side of what we would call the summer in the northern hemisphere, and it gives us the longest day. Well, we found that previous long day events, so the longest day of the year and the shortest day of the year, the corresponding each day, so we're June 21st and December 21st are 2 times where we watch each time of year for large events to happen. We've seen this happen before. Last June into July, same thing. And it resulted by August, well, actually by the end of July, with major activity that just was not stoppable. It caused big earthquakes last year. Same with last December, 6 months ago. We saw a deep earthquake event press all the way around the plate. These deep earthquakes, raised high off the globe so you can see them easily, these things push up on the underside of the Pacific plate, and it displaces the whole plate. Now the Pacific plate starts moving, and then it pushes on the United States, pushes in a certain direction, a clockwise type direction. See which way the arrows point? So I want you to imagine pressure coming up from over here down below the plate, and then it starts putting the plate into motion and turning it. As the plate turns, it locks here on the coast of the United States and on the coast of Mexico and even on the coast of South America. And then it builds and builds and releases as the pressure also transfers across the plates. So Pacific is pushing the U.S. and Canada, and then look how it spreads across the U.S. and Canada. Or Central America, how it spreads over. South America, it does something slightly different because it's such a big plate and it's not being displaced. It goes down, around, and underneath and comes back up here. So I just want you to understand that there's a way that the pressure transfers, and that's the way that the arrows are on the screen. Now, a lot of people in here already know that, but I'm doing this for new viewers. There's always new people in here every day, guys, and we're trying to reach the planet on this. So we put the arrows on here to show you which way pressure transfers. And it all starts with these deep earthquakes, the deep earthquakes. So look, if you know where an origin is of something and you know where its destination is going, where the letter X's are, so we know it's starting over here, and we know where it's going to the X marks, so we can then know the route it's going to take by tracing out the plates. And the earthquakes spread across the plate boundaries pretty much only. They don't go anywhere else. We don't see random earthquakes, guys. We see earthquakes that are related to one another. If somebody told you that earthquakes were random events or acts of God, they were incorrect. There is a scientific reason for each earthquake to strike each location. One earthquake is related to the other earthquake spreading across the planet. Again, like I said, all caused by our deep movement over here. Now, where does the deep movement come from? That's a good question if you're asking it. It comes up from the core of the Earth. The core of the Earth is not a solid ball of metal like we were told either. I mean, how much more do we need to correct? The molten core of the Earth, well, let's not even call it molten. Let's call that the mantle, because down below the mantle is the supercore, as I call it. Now, again, there's a core and there's a supercore. I've come up with new terms to describe all of this. And the supercore is made of plasma energy. And it rotates, it oscillates. Now, the electrical term for something rotating is oscillating. So it's an electrical electroplasma. Think of a bolt of lightning or a plasma torch in an industrial factory, and add it times 1,000,000,000, and we're getting into about the level that it would be down at the core. Now, what's powering it? Electron cascade from the sun. So when the sun sends out charged particles or solar wind hits the magnetosphere, we get northern lights and air glow. Well, that air glow is electrons. Actual electricity, guys. It goes down to ground. Well, ground isn't just the ground. It goes down through the ground, down through the crust, down through the mantle, and down to the core, which then consumes the power like a torch and increases the heat, pressure, and maybe even possibly the oscillation, the rotation. I don't know if it increases that, but I can tell you it definitely increases the heat and pressure. And so you have to imagine the core expanding, or at least growing in heat and pressure, which then pushes up pressure from underneath on the underside of the plate. So something's going on down in the core. That's what's happening with the deep earthquakes. So the cause of the deep earthquakes is the core. Then the deep earthquakes then themselves cause shallower, larger earthquakes next to the deep earthquakes, in between them, in what we call the silent zones. The silent zones are just spots that haven't been hit by earthquakes in the last 48 hours. So you see the red arrows? Okay, there's a lot of them, but you look in between the earthquakes to find your silent zones. For instance, right here would be one silent zone in Papua New Guinea. Another silent zone would be in between these two sets of earthquakes, here at our triangular bend of the Solomon Islands. Another silent zone would be between New Zealand and the earthquakes up here to Fiji, at the Kermadec. That's just 3 examples right there. Japan has its silent zone off the coast of Honshu right now. All of these are going to be hit. Every single one of these locations I just told you are going to be hit within the next 2 to 3 days. And it'll be a combined total of each earthquake on each side. You have to add them together. Now, it takes 10 threes to equal a 4. It takes 10 fours to equal a 5. It takes 10 fives to equal a 6. It takes 10 sixes to equal a 7. 10 sevens to equal a 8, and so forth. So you have to add those together, and we start to get into, we're going to be going up a notch. Why are we going up a notch? Well, first of all, take a look at all the earthquakes that are already striking. I haven't even shown you the volcanic eruption feed for today. Let's go consult that really quick. These play into our earthquakes. So Besmiani, Dukono, Shiveluche, Sabancaya, Langila, back on the list in Papua New Guinea. I'll show you where that is. Reventador, Besmiani, Shiveluche, Sabancaya, Langila. These are repeats, but each one's a new eruption or a cancellation of an eruption report. And I'll show where these are. Up here to the north, we have Shiveluche and Besmiani, right here at the Kamchatka Peninsula. We get down to the south, we have Dukono right here, and we have Langila volcano right in the middle, in between these two sets of earthquakes. That's pretty interesting. Over to the east, we have Reventador and Sabancaya. That's South America only. So that's a drop-off in the eruptions for today. A drop-off. And it might sound like a lot, what I just read to you, but that's actually less than what we've had over the past few days. So I think the volcanoes are showing what we saw yesterday, seismically speaking. Today's volcano reports kind of mimic yesterday's silence, which means, doesn't that mean by tomorrow we should see a huge increase in volcanic eruptions? Yes. Yes, now I don't forecast eruptions. I'm just telling you that if today it goes quiet, like yesterday it went quiet with earthquakes, and then today we return with major earthquake activity, then that means tomorrow we'll return with the volcanoes. They're lagging a little bit behind. They're the physical magma actually being pressed with that, so it might take a few more hours than it just does for the seismic activity to transfer. Okay, so now you understand the basics behind what we're talking about. Magnitudes, let's tell the people in Japan what to look for. Let's tell the people over here at our silent zones what magnitudes we're looking at. And if you take this into account, there's a perfect example right here. We have a 5.0 down here in South Japan, and up to the north we have a 4.0 earthquake and 3 or 4 eruptions. So if there's 3 or 4 eruptions at the Kamchatka Peninsula, that equals about 3 or 4 different 5.0 earthquakes. That's just a number I put on it, but it's pretty accurate. Each earthquake, or each volcanic eruption, well, there's thousands of small earthquakes that strike with those eruptions that equal about a 5. So if we have, let's say, a 5.3 to 5.4 total energy expended up here to the north, again, 3 or 4 different 5.0 earthquakes, add them together, that equals 5.3 to 5.4. Down to the south, we just have a 5. Add those two together, that means a 5.5 potential should be striking very soon here south of Hokkaido or near Hokkaido on the north coast of Japan. So middle point between these two zones, add up the eruptions and the earthquakes, that gives you what magnitude to look for. We should also watch in between Japan and Guam. We have pretty much the same size earthquake up here to the north, 5.0, and a 4.6 to the south. Let's watch for a 5.1 on the Izu Ridge next 24 to 48 hours. Getting down to the south at Papua New Guinea, we have to add up the eruptions and the earthquakes on both sides. So we have Langila and a swarm of 4s on one side. Let's call that a 5.2. And on the other side, we have Dukono and a swarm of, near 5s. So let's put it at 5.6 to 5.7 potential at Papua New Guinea within the next 48 to 72 hours. Furthermore, over here to the west, we are now watching this spot in the middle for our large earthquake to develop out in the next couple days. And when I say large earthquake, we're talking about something that could go as high as 7.9 to 8.0. I know it sounds like a big one. I know it sounds preposterous that people would be here on YouTube issuing a forecast for a large earthquake, right? You hear this all the time from the fear porn artist on YouTube. But I'm telling you, we are in the middle of a deep earthquake event. Actually, we're beyond middle. We are 3/4 of the way through the deep earthquake event. We are looking for just beyond the 21st, here at the 21st, for the potential of a large earthquake to strike, based upon all the deep earthquakes that have happened. I've told you over the past several days, I'm telling you again right now, do not take this lightly. Last 6 months ago, I was here at Christmas time looking at almost the exact same thing that we're looking at now. A deep earthquake event, a West Pacific filled with activity, and I got accused of fear-mongering for trying to make Christmas money. It was asinine. And then the big earthquakes hit, and everybody went quiet, and I got censored hard. I got hit hard on my channel for 6 months after that when we showed everybody what it was. So here we are again. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that nothing hits. But hope in science? Man, you can hope all you want. Hope for the best. But I want you to have a plan that includes, over here in the West Pacific, where in the West Pacific? Let's get a good idea. I don't want just to warn the whole West Pacific. That's stupid. We have to get it down to a very fine point. Now, if we're leaning towards the spot where there's going to be a very large earthquake, it's going to be in the middle, in between our deep earthquakes that are raised high off the globe. But not at the very center near Guam. I'm looking just to the south, just like at Christmas time. So the south center, in between all three sets of earthquakes, brings us into Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu. That's the region, the central point here. Now, all three countries would need to be warned, including Northern Australia, just in case it strikes south of the islands. So if it strikes north, well, people in Australia won't feel it. If it strikes south of the island by 200 miles, I'm trying to give it a 200-mile stretch in here, that if it gets south of here, it could be felt on the north part of Australia. So if you're an Aussie viewer, guys, you're going to have to watch to your north. And if you're a West Pacific viewer in Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, or any one of the other island nations there, you need to have a plan that incorporates into a large earthquake. So that means also seeking higher ground if you need to. I know it's a pain in the butt to have to think about that stuff, but when I see something like this, and the professionals are all doing this, la 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 la, it just drives me crazy, man. I've seen this happen so many times. In 7 years' time, this has happened at least twice a year for the last 7 years, where we get a obvious unrest event happening, and we have professionals in denial, while everybody else on the tubes and everywhere else is talking about everything else except for the obvious right in front of your eyes. Now, I know it's a pain in the butt to pay attention to this stuff. And it's only a couple times a year where you really have to worry for the large earthquake threat, like the megaquake type situation. If there's solar events that play in, sometimes there's solar events that excite things up, guys. That's the only wild card that I really see in here are the, extraplanetary events that can play into earthquake activity. That is when we do introduce in a kind of a wild card as to an increase. But even then, when solar events happen or cosmic events happen that intersect Earth, that those even tend to increase only on the red arrows. It's not like we see random events popping up out in Siberia and other places. Okay, so I'm kind of digressing here, but I just want you to understand that when we're talking about this, you need to have a plan that encompasses 8.0 activity, which means structure exit plans, tsunami prep plans over in the West Pacific. If you're in the United States on the West Coast, it's a little bit different, guys, because first of all, I showed you about the elevations last night. We're only talking about the potential of a few foot high wave if we're in the upper 7 range of earthquakes on the West Coast. So that'll be like the 7.7 in 2012 caused a 3 to 5 foot wave, so it didn't cause terrible, devastating damage with a tsunami. But if I'm wrong and I'm 1 magnitude off on this on the West Coast of the U.S., and if I'm looking for a 7.7 to 8 and a 8.7 to 9 hits, then it's the size of the Japan quake. Then you're looking at a 30-meter high wave that's coming in, 100-foot high wave. I mean, it's all the difference in the world. 1 magnitude at this size. I mean, it's in 1 magnitude difference at that size going from 7 to 8 is a huge screw up on my part if it's larger. But I'm doing the best I can. So that's why I want you to have a plan just in case I'm wrong. All right. Oh, what time is it now? It is 4:40 p.m. Central Time. We're going to go ahead and save this on my channel. And, I didn't address New Zealand. One other thing. Sorry, guys. Down in New Zealand, with the lack of earthquakes happening right now, we're expecting the North Island to swarm out at the volcanoes. We're expecting this to happen very soon. I mean, the fact that you're looking at 15 today, I don't know what's going on. I mean, again, they might not be reporting, or maybe there's a technical error, or really maybe it just did go quiet like yesterday up to the north. But don't let that little quick bit of quiet calm you down. It's going to reflare back up because of everything that's been happening up to your north. Look at all those deep earthquakes in the past couple days. Okay, I mean, that is already causing an excitement to your north, your northwest, to your northeast, to your southeast, to your southwest, but not for you directly. It will. And when it does, you'll note it. I mean, you'll see it. It'll start going ding, 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 ding. You'll get all your swarms picking up, and then the South Island will finally start to move. Now, the South Island will move right at the central point here. But how big? I think more like in the upper 4 range, maybe low 5 at the most, really. Most of the pressure appears to be going to the west-northwest up this like expected. One final announcement. You know what? It looks like I might be going down to New Zealand this coming year. I'll have more to come out to my viewers who live down in New Zealand. We'll try and get something set up, if this happens, that where we can meet up in real life down in New Zealand. Maybe go inspect a volcano or something together as a group. I don't know. I don't know what we'll plan, but it's not going to be some kind of big conference where I'm, up at a podium talking like I'm some kind of important person. I think I'd like to meet you guys and all socialize on a one-on-one basis. And then I can talk maybe in front of you guys. We can go to a park or something and talk. And I don't foresee that many people showing up. Anyway, it's not like we have a huge following down in New Zealand, do we? I don't know. Those are famous last words, right? Oh, let's go to the park. All of a sudden, 500 people show up, and it... Okay, anyways. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking in here. I'm going to get a sip of my coffee sent by a viewer. And I guess we will save it now. Let's stop